In the great invisible realm where ideas are born and destinies are shaped, there exists a law so precise, so unwavering, that it answers every call of faith with mathematical certainty. To come back with 2 million is not merely a declaration of wealth, but a bold summons to the unseen forces that ever wait for the soul courageous enough to command its good. For every thought is a seed, and every word a decree. The universe listens, responds, and rearranges itself according to the vibration we send forth. When an individual speaks with conviction, refusing the counsel of doubt or the whisper of fear, the gates of supply swing open as easily as a door yields to the rightful owner of the key. It is not the amount, 2 million or 20, that holds the power, but the fearless certainty behind the claim. For riches are not gathered by toil alone. They are drawn magnetically by alignment with divine substance, that endless river from which all abundance flows. We live in a world where many believe they must struggle, beg, or barter for their portion, yet the truth is far simpler and infinitely more liberating. You receive what you expect, and you expect what you believe yourself worthy of. To speak of millions is to speak of expansion, confidence, and recognition of one's own inner treasury. The outer world merely reflects the inner decree. When the mind accepts increase, the world mirrors increase. When the heart claims prosperity without apology, the path is carved beneath the feet as surely as if it had always existed. Every individual carries within them a spiritual bank account that can never be depleted, and from this divine source one may draw without fear of overdraft. But the withdrawal slip is composed of words, clear, definite, radiant with faith. I come back with 2 million is such a slip. It is a command issued to the forces of opportunity, intuition, timing, and inspired action. It is a statement that refuses the smallness of circumstance and instead embraces the inheritance of limitless good. Life does not respond to hesitation. It responds to boldness dressed in certainty. When one speaks increase, walks as though it has already manifested, and regards every delay as hidden arrangement, rather than denial, then the result is inevitable. Doors open where walls once stood, ideas arrive that could never have been reasoned into existence, and helpers appear without summons or explanation. This is not accident, it is law. Therefore, let this declaration be more than words. Let it be a mantle of authority placed upon your shoulders. Let it remind you that the supply you seek is already created, waiting only for your unquestioned command. For the universe does not measure by difficulty, it measures by belief. And the one who boldly states, I come back with 2 million, steps into a current of abundance that has been flowing since the beginning of time, waiting only for the soul courageous enough to claim it. To speak your word with fearless certainty is to recognize that every utterance carries creative power, and that the spoken word is a tool of manifestation far greater than most individuals dare to realize. In the unseen realm, words operate like commands, shaping the mold into which substance flows. When one speaks timidly, contradicts oneself, or allows doubt to slip into the vibration of the statement, the creative force becomes scattered, divided, and weakened. But when one speaks with clarity, authority, and unwavering conviction, the statement becomes a decree, a spiritual order that the universe must fulfill according to law. Fearless certainty is not aggression, nor is it forcefulness directed toward the outer world. Instead, it is inward alignment with the truth that supply, opportunity, and right action are already available and merely await one's permission to unfold. Speaking with fearless certainty means erasing the internal tug-of-war between belief and disbelief, and instead offering the word as though it is an established fact, as though the outer world is merely catching up to a spiritual truth already made complete. When one declares a thing with certainty, the subconscious mind accepts it without resistance, and once accepted, it becomes the organizing force behind thoughts, impulses, and events. Every part of one's being begins to move in harmony with the spoken decree. Fearless certainty is not dependent on visible evidence. It operates beyond circumstances, beyond logic, beyond probabilities. It draws its strength from the inherent order of the universe, where thought precedes form and conviction precedes manifestation. When you speak a word with conviction, you are not hoping it will come to pass. You are acknowledging that it already exists in the invisible, waiting for its appointed moment to emerge. This is why hesitation in speech dilutes results. The word must be delivered with the same finality with which a king issues a command, knowing it will be carried out without question. Speaking your word with fearless certainty requires discipline of the imagination. The mind must be trained to see the desired outcome as accomplished even before the evidence arrives. Doubt may attempt to creep in, presenting old patterns, memories of failure, or the suggestions of others who do not understand the laws of the unseen. Fearless certainty does not entertain these intrusions. It remains unmoved, anchored in the knowing that divine substance responds to the tone of authority. The tone matters as much as the words themselves. A wavering tone suggests divided belief, while a calm, firm tone suggests mastery over thought and expectation. Speaking your word with fearless certainty is a daily practice. It means choosing your words with care, eliminating phrases that weaken your command, and refusing to indulge in negative predictions about outcomes, finances, timing, or circumstances. Every careless word creates a vibration, therefore, only the words that align with your desired good should be allowed to pass your lips. Fearless certainty also means detaching from how the manifestation will occur. The moment one begins to dictate the path, the mind shifts from certainty to control, which is rooted in fear. True certainty trusts the intelligence of the universe to select the perfect channels, people, and sequences. The individual who speaks with fearless certainty does not look to the outer world for reassurance. They know that what appears in the physical realm is merely a delayed reflection of what already exists in the spiritual realm. Because of this inner knowing, the spoken word becomes a declaration of what is, rather than a request for what might be. Such speech carries the vibration of inevitability. It affirms, "This is already mine by divine right," rather than "I hope this will come." And the universe responds not to hope, but to conviction. To cultivate this level of certainty, one must continually align with the truth that abundance, opportunity, and success are natural states, not rare blessings reserved for the fortunate few. The more one speaks from this understanding, the more natural fearless certainty becomes. It is not arrogance, it is spiritual alignment. It is recognizing that the creative power within you is not separate from the creative power of the universe. When you speak with fearless certainty, you speak as a channel of divine intention, confident that the substance of the universe rushes to support your word. This certainty reshapes your posture, your decisions, and your expectations, causing the outer world to reorganize itself according to the authority of your spoken command. To align your expectation with divine supply is to anchor your consciousness in the knowing that the universe is unfailingly abundant and always ready to meet you at the level of your belief. Divine supply is not something earned, chased, wrestled for, or accessed only through strain. It is the ever-present flow of good that surrounds every individual, waiting for acknowledgement. Expectation is the magnet that draws this unseen substance into form, determining the size, speed, and nature of what manifests. When expectation falters, the flow becomes faint. When expectation is strong and unwavering, the flow becomes generous, immediate, and precise. Aligning with divine supply means bringing thought, feeling, and assumption into harmony with the truth that there is no lack, no limitation, no shortage in the spiritual realm. What appears as lack in the physical world is merely the result of misaligned expectation, for the outer world faithfully mirrors the inner stance. Expectation is a spiritual posture, a silent declaration of what you are willing to receive. Many individuals unknowingly expect delays, setbacks, or disappointments simply because past experiences have conditioned them to anticipate struggle. But divine supply is not governed by the past. It responds only to the vibration of the present moment. To align your expectation with divine supply requires releasing the old mental habits that assume limitation and replacing them with the inner conviction that increase is natural. When you truly expect good, you make room for it. You walk, speak, and choose as though it is already unfolding. This internal certainty collapses the invisible barriers created by previous doubts or fears, allowing supply to pour in through channels both known and unexpected. Aligning expectation with divine supply also means lifting your perception above the circumstance. Outer conditions may offer a narrative of scarcity, delays, or impossibilities, but divine supply remains unaffected by appearances. To depend on circumstances for proof is to disconnect from the deeper truth. The moment you believe that outer conditions have more authority than divine law, you restrict the flow. But when you recognize that supply comes from within, through intuition, inspiration, right timing, and unseen orchestration, you free yourself from the emotional turbulence of what the physical world presently displays. The individual who aligns their expectation with divine supply refuses to interpret temporary appearances as permanent limitations. They hold firmly to the truth that supply is already on its way. Even if the steps are not yet visible, expectation must be nurtured with consistency. Every thought of doubt weakens the magnetic pull, while every affirmation of certainty strengthens it. Alignment does not occur through wishfulness. It occurs through disciplined, deliberate direction of attention. When you expect divine supply, you no longer entertain mental pictures of shortage. Instead, you cultivate inner imagery of abundance flowing freely. These mental pictures become blueprints that the universe gladly fills, for divine supply is always seeking expression. Your expectation is the mold, and the universe is the substance ready to take shape within it. To align expectation with divine supply also requires emotional alignment. It is not enough to intellectually acknowledge abundance. The heart must also feel it. Feelings are powerful attractors. When your expectation is imbued with calm confidence, gratitude, and anticipation, the vibration becomes irresistible. Worry, anxiety, and urgency disrupt alignment because they are rooted in the belief that supply is uncertain. True expectation is peaceful, not frantic. It has the quiet assurance of someone who knows that the order has already been placed and that its arrival is inevitable. In aligning your expectation with divine supply, you also release the notion that you must figure out the mechanics. The universe is adept at arranging the right people, circumstances, and opportunities without strain or complication. Your task is not to orchestrate every detail, but to maintain the expectation that everything necessary will be provided. This expectation acts as an open door through which supply enters. By remaining attuned to the certainty that abundance is your natural birthright, you position yourself to receive ideas, guidance, and inspirations that align with greater prosperity. As expectation deepens, the pathway widens, and you begin to witness evidence of divine supply revealing itself in subtle signs and then unmistakable manifestations. To reject doubt and affirm worthiness of abundance is to consciously step out of the old mental patterns that have convinced so many that they must earn, justify, or struggle for their good. Doubt is not merely a passing feeling. It is a subtle force that interferes with manifestation by interrupting the clarity of your intention. When doubt is allowed to linger, it plants contradictory vibrations in the subconscious, causing mixed results, delays, or diminished outcomes. Abundance responds to faith, confidence, and a clear sense of deserving. When you affirm your worthiness of abundance, you realign your inner world with the truth that you are an expression of divine intelligence, and therefore lack is never your rightful portion. Doubt often springs from old conditioning, messages absorbed over years, perhaps even generations, that suggested you should be satisfied with little or that wanting more is greedy or unrealistic. But these beliefs are not spiritual truth. They are human misconceptions, and they must be discarded for abundance to flow freely. Rejecting doubt means noticing it the moment it attempts to intrude, acknowledging its presence without granting it authority, and replacing it with a higher statement of truth. Doubt says, "What if this does not work?" But spiritual certainty responds, "My good is assured." Doubt whispers, "I have failed before," but divine truth answers, "Each moment is a fresh beginning." Doubt tries to persuade you that you are asking for too much, yet the laws of the universe insist that nothing is too great for the infinite. To reject doubt is to refuse to engage with the mental images that portray limitation. Instead of indulging in worries, you cultivate mental pictures of success, increase, and fulfillment. These pictures act as anchors, holding your consciousness in alignment with abundance even when outer evidence appears to lag behind. Affirming worthiness of abundance is equally essential, because abundance cannot stay where it is not believed to be deserved. Worthiness is not earned through effort or merit, it is inherent by virtue of your existence. You were born into a universe of infinite supply, and your very presence is evidence that you belong to that supply. Yet many people unknowingly undermine their manifestations by believing they are unworthy of wealth, opportunity, or success. They may voice affirmations of abundance, yet deep within they carry feelings of inadequacy or guilt. Such inner conflict blocks the flow. To affirm worthiness is to uproot these hidden beliefs and replace them with the understanding that abundance is your divine right. Worthiness is a state of consciousness in which you accept without hesitation the idea that you are meant to prosper. Affirming worthiness requires gentle persistence. It calls for speaking words that reinforce your rightful claim to good, such as "I am worthy of success," "I deserve financial increase," or "I am aligned with abundance in every form." These statements are not mere phrases, they are spiritual corrections. Each time you affirm worthiness, you recondition the subconscious, dissolving the old patterns that once kept you small. Over time, your inner stance shifts, and abundance becomes natural rather than exceptional. The more firmly you anchor your sense of worthiness, the more effortlessly opportunities flow toward you. People, ideas, and resources respond to the vibration of someone who knows they are deserving. Rejecting doubt and affirming worthiness also influences behavior in subtle but powerful ways. When you believe you are worthy of abundance, you make decisions that reflect confidence rather than fear. You seize opportunities instead of hesitating. You trust your intuition instead of second-guessing. You take inspired actions instead of shrinking back into old patterns. Everything in your external life begins to rearrange itself around your new internal certainty. Doubt once caused hesitation, but clarity now fuels momentum. Scarcity once shaped your choices, but worthiness now shapes expansion. This alignment also transforms how you interpret delays or obstacles. Instead of seeing them as signs of failure or denial, you view them as temporary adjustments or redirections toward something better. Doubt interprets delays as danger, worthiness interprets them as refinement. When you consistently affirm your worthiness, nothing shakes your inner equilibrium because you know abundance cannot be taken from you. It may shift form, it may arrive through new channels, but it remains guaranteed. Your inner language becomes your strongest instrument in this process. Every time you speak words of certainty, words that reinforce your right to prosper, you fortify your connection to abundance. Words of doubt are no longer permitted to take root. You choose thoughts that uplift, images that strengthen, and assumptions that affirm your divine inheritance. To walk as though the good is already manifested is to move through life with the calm assurance that what you have spoken, claimed, and expected in the unseen is presently taking shape, regardless of what the physical world displays. This way of walking is not mere pretending. It is spiritual alignment with the higher reality that manifestation begins in the invisible before it becomes visible. When you embody the feeling of already having your good, you create a powerful vibrational match that draws the physical manifestation closer with remarkable speed. Walking in this manner requires a shift in consciousness, from hoping to knowing, from wishing to claiming, from waiting to embodying. It means that every step, choice, and gesture carries the imprint of fulfilled desire, not the energy of lack or longing. To walk as though your good is already here is to maintain an inner posture of completion. Instead of looking for signs to convince you, you allow your conviction to be the sign itself. The universe responds not to desperation, but to certainty. When you walk with the demeanor of someone whose good is assured, you align with the frequency of abundance. Your body language changes, your tone of voice strengthens, and your decisions reflect confidence rather than fear. People sense this shift, and circumstances respond to it in subtle and obvious ways. Opportunities that once seemed distant begin to move toward you because you are now walking on the path of fulfillment, rather than the path of doubt. Walking in this state turns you into a magnet for the very experiences you have envisioned. This approach also dissolves impatience, because impatience is rooted in the belief that something is missing. When you walk as though the good is already manifested, you no longer carry the anxious energy of waiting. Instead, you carry the quiet assurance of one who knows that unseen forces are working continuously in your favor. This peace is not complacency, it is the highest form of faith. It says, "My good exists, it is unfolding now. I walk in harmony with it." This inner certainty accelerates manifestation because it eliminates the energetic contradictions that often arise when one feels impatient, worried, or uncertain. The more consistently you embody the feeling of fulfillment, the more quickly the physical world aligns. To walk in this consciousness also means releasing the habit of discussing your desires as though they are distant. You no longer indulge in complaints, declarations of lack, or stories about what has not yet happened. Instead, your words reflect the reality you are aligning with. You speak of progress, of unfolding, of certainty. You may not describe the details, but your language carries the tone of someone who knows they are on the right track. This shift in communication strengthens your internal belief and removes any lingering mental patterns that contradict your good. When you speak from fulfillment, you fortify your walk with confidence, and your emotional vibration rises to match the reality you desire. Walking as though your good is here also impacts the way you approach decisions. Instead of choosing from fear, scarcity, or desperation, you choose from abundance, clarity, and purpose. You adopt the perspective of someone whose success is inevitable. This perspective influences everything: how you invest your time, how you handle money, how you respond to challenges, and how you interpret signs along the way. You no longer see obstacles as threats, but as temporary adjustments guiding you toward the highest expression of your manifestation. Even when circumstances appear unchanged, your inner stance remains unchanged as well. This consistency is what stabilizes the vibration of your desire and prevents the disruptions that doubt or fear would otherwise introduce. To walk as though the good is already manifested also requires a deep sense of gratitude. Gratitude is the emotional signature of fulfillment. It signals that you have already received the blessing in consciousness, and therefore the physical form must follow. Gratitude transforms ordinary moments into evidence of alignment. You begin to notice small signs of progress, synchronicities, intuitive nudges, and unexpected encouragement. These signs strengthen your walk, making it even easier to maintain the feeling of already having your good. Gratitude also softens the mind, dissolving any tension or resistance that may have accumulated from past disappointments. Walking with this level of faith also means maintaining emotional discipline. You monitor your reactions, redirect your thoughts, and refuse to engage with mental images that contradict your desire. If an old fear arises, you acknowledge it briefly but immediately return to the feeling of fulfillment. This practice becomes easier with repetition. Eventually, the feeling of already manifested becomes your default state. At that point, manifestation is inevitable because your internal world has fully aligned with the reality you have claimed. To command increase with unwavering authority is to recognize the creative power within your own spoken word and to use it without hesitation, apology, or self-doubt. In the spiritual realm, authority is not loud or forceful. It is calm, steady, and grounded in the knowing that the universe responds to certainty as naturally as an echo responds to a voice. To command increase is to speak with the inner conviction that abundance is not something you must chase or persuade into your life, but something that is already yours by divine right. When you speak from this place of authority, you are not attempting to create your good, you are authorizing its appearance. You are giving divine substance the instruction it needs to take form in your world. Authority is the bridge between desire and manifestation, and it is shaped by the tone, clarity, and confidence behind your words. To command increase with unwavering authority requires dissolving the subtle fears that often hide beneath requests for abundance. Many people affirm prosperity while still holding an underlying vibration of uncertainty. Their words say, "I want increase," but their energy says, "I hope it comes." The universe is never confused. It responds to the energy behind the words more than the words themselves. Unwavering authority means that the desire for increase is accompanied by a deep, unshakable belief that it is already unfolding. It means that your inner dialogue matches your outer declarations. There is no inner contradiction, no wavering between trust and doubt. Your command becomes a decree, a clear direction issued to the spiritual substance that surrounds and permeates everything. Commanding increase also involves releasing the notion that abundance is rare or difficult to attain. Authority weakens the moment you see supply as limited, but when you understand that divine substance is infinite, inexhaustible, and ever-expanding, you speak from a place of strength rather than desperation. Increase is the natural rhythm of life. Seeds grow, ideas evolve, opportunities multiply. To command increase is to align yourself with this eternal motion, this upward flow that is built into the fabric of the universe. When you recognize that increase is natural, you cease asking timidly and begin affirming boldly. You no longer wonder if your good will come. You declare that it must, because that is the law. To speak with authority also means speaking without mental reservation. Every time you give your command for increase, whether through affirmation, visualization, or inner proclamation, you do so with the calm assurance that your words are carrying out their purpose. You do not repeat your declarations out of fear that they weren't heard. You repeat them only to reinforce your alignment. Unwavering authority is not noisy, it is consistent. It is the same quiet certainty that a gardener feels when planting seeds, knowing that growth is guaranteed, as long as the conditions remain aligned. Your words of increase are those seeds, and your unwavering authority is the sunlight that compels them to grow. Commanding increase also transforms your relationship with action. When you know that increase is inevitable, you become more receptive to intuitive guidance. Ideas that once seemed insignificant suddenly appear as pathways to greater good. Nudges that you might have ignored now feel like clear instructions. Authority does not make you passive, it makes you precise. You no longer take frantic or scattered actions. You take inspired, aligned, and purposeful steps that amplify the increase already in motion. Your decisions become extensions of your command, each one reinforcing the vibration of prosperity. Walking in the consciousness of authority also reshapes how you perceive challenges. Instead of seeing them as blocks to increase, you recognize them as shifting pieces, rearranging themselves to create a path for your good. Authority does not collapse at the first sign of delay. It holds steady, knowing that divine timing and divine order are working behind the scenes. When you command increase, you assume the posture of one who knows that nothing can withhold what has been spiritually authorized. Even apparent setbacks become evidence that something larger is aligning. To command increase with unwavering authority also means maintaining emotional steadiness. You watch your inner responses, ensuring that your feelings do not contradict your spoken word. You cultivate an atmosphere of calm expectation, even before the physical world shows signs of change. This emotional stability is a powerful enhancer of manifestation, because it keeps your vibration consistent. Authority does not fluctuate, it holds its center. The more consistently you embody this inner authority, the faster the external world aligns. You become someone who speaks increase, expects increase, walks in increase, and ultimately experiences increase because you have embraced the role of the creator of your reality, wielding your words with confidence, clarity, and unwavering faith in the abundance that is already yours.